Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. Today I'm working on this big old juniper. As you can see, it's not doing well, so some branches need removing, but first I want to look at the roots. I think just before I tackle the roots, I best give you a quick look at the tree. I have worked on this in videos last year. I picked this up from a local nursery. I think it cost about, I can't recall, it was about 30 or 35 pounds. It's got a nice chunky base, but all these branches died off. I turned them into gins. I've done different type of work with them, but now this one's dead. This one's looking very weak. I need to do something with them, but I think the problem must be in the pot. It's a bit of a strange one, this tree. It was very healthy when I bought it. I did nothing with it at first, and it just started dying. I'd literally done nothing. All I'd done is water it, and branches started dying off. It's got quite a few roots, I must admit. I wouldn't call it majorly pot bound. You can see here we've got some healthy fresh roots. I'm just sort of going in and just taking a basic look at what's going on down here. It looks pretty good. That's a big piece of pine bark. It looks like it's potted in almost complete pine bark. There seems to be almost nothing else, which seems a little strange to me. Perhaps this is part of the problem. So it's not the perfect time to do a full repot, but a tree like this is just continuously getting worse and worse. So what I think I'll do is, see, there's new root tips growing in there, inside, not just on the outside. I don't want to, overly stress and disturb the tree at this time of year. But I need to do something, because if I don't, I think one by one all these branches are just going to die off. I'd rather take the chance, be proactive, and, if it don't make it, it don't make it, but at least I had a go. There's not loads of new root growth in this, and I suspect the problem is, although there's lots of seemingly healthy roots, most of them have not started growing yet, so it's probably not a bad time to do a proper repot on this. And I've never obviously looked at these roots before, so perhaps today's a good day to get it in some decent bonsai soil. Doesn't appear to be any sort of roots that are rotting away, or these are nice fresh new tips up here. So in general, I'd kind of say there's a worm in it. In general, I'd kind of say it's a pretty decent root system. These white bits here, these are these weeds that I get in the garden with very long white single stranding roots that go down. Get rid of those. And just, I'm trying to be as gentle as I can. And it's coming away really well because it's, it's not in a heavy soil or soggy compost. It's just in this, it's in pine bark, it looks like to me. Complete pine bark. Basically, junipers don't like this. They don't like a fully organic soil like this, but that's nothing new. We already knew that. See, that's a nice fresh tip there. And if I'm, relatively gentle, just going in with my chopstick like this, I think I should be able to get most of this bark out without sort of damaging the roots too much. See, this is quite dry at the top here. I've been really watering it well, and it's still fairly dry. Yeah. Tells me that perhaps it had a lack of water. Well, you would think it'd be holding on to loads of water in this heavily organic stuff, but just looking at this here, This almost looks like sawdust. I decided to wash the roots off, otherwise I had no way of getting all this organic matter out of there without really ripping into the roots, and I didn't want to do that. As you can see, I have damaged a few of the roots. You can see they've been stripped off, so that instead of being that red colour, there's just the inside of them exposed, so they're better being removed because they'll die anyway in there. Obviously, if we've got any of these fresh tips left like that, they get left because they're ready to grow. I want to keep those. I'm really pleased with how many healthy roots I've got on this, and it's actually got quite a flat root base, so I've decided to put it into my favourite, the washing up bowl. And what I'll do is I'll spread those roots out and then get that base under the tree just sat down nicely on a good bed of bonsai soil. These roots here that I'm just putting outside of the pot, I'm just spreading them outwards, just like that. And just sort of cut them to the profile of the washing up bowl, like that. I find that's quite an easy way to do it. Now, I don't want to remove too many of these roots, obviously. My priority is to keep this tree alive, and it's been struggling, so I think this could be a good solution for this tree now, going forward. I think you're facing the back now, so that'll be fine. People sometimes comment and say, I need one of those soil scoops. And, you know, I do. Every time I do this, I think, right, you need to get yourself a soil scoop. And then I forget. Although I never seem to forget about buying trees. I've just ordered a couple of beautiful Japanese maples. Really nice varieties to add to my collection. Now obviously this tree is very lopsided because all the canopy is on one side, so it's going to be quite hard to sort of hold in position in this pot. That's why I've got the wires. I can't really bring you closer in at the moment because I'm holding everything up with my hands. I've just had a bit of a brainwave. This branch is dead and was always going to be removed, so I can take that off. And then what I can do is I can use this as a brace to pull the tree into the right position. I want to get the balance right in terms of the orientation of the tree, and I need the balance between what looks good for the trunk and the nabari. It's got quite a good root base on it, this tree, and I want to be able to showcase that. So something like about there should be perfect. I've got a couple of holes already cut in this washing up bowl, which is quite handy. So I should be able to just loop the wire around the end of that branch like that, and then pull it over into position like that. Pull it a little bit past where it needs to be like that. And just tie it in. Oh, that's rock solid. That's lovely. I probably don't need these other wires now, really, but as soon as I've got them in place, I may as well use them. I'll just pull them over the edge of the root ball so that I'm not damaging any of those surface roots. because they do look good on this tree, as I say. I'll show you in a minute. I've just put some water on this to wash away some of the soil so we can see the nabari. We've got a nice, fairly thick branch root at the back there, but then it comes over in these lovely kind of radial pattern all the way around. So that's spot on. It's one of the reasons that I really want to try and keep this tree and keep it alive, because it's got such a good base. I'm really pleased with how those roots went there. I think this has got a good chance now. This, obviously, this branch that I've cut is going to be ginned down. I'm going to make that a lot shorter. I'm also going to shorten both of these. They're way too long. My big question is what to do with this branch here, because it's not healthy. It's got no new growth on it and it appears to be dying. It's just a question of, do I remove it now or do I give it a chance to grow? I don't think it's going to grow. I think it's just going to make the tree struggle, and I think I'm better sticking with the healthy growth. Yeah, the decision's made. In my experience, once a branch like this is dead, it doesn't come back, and I think I'd rather get rid and go with a very kind of one-sided tree, which is fine for me. I think it'll be really interesting. Hopefully this tree's in good health now. It'll go on, have a strong year, and I can start working on this shari, carving this dead wood, and then eventually bringing the size of this branching down. I'll possibly have to bend some of these branches around to fill some areas, but I think that's all part of the fun of a juniper. There's no doubt that these kinds of cross media, or I'm not really sure what variety this is, they're not as good as the sort of Itaigao Chinese junipers in terms of foliage mass, but what they are is available at a relatively inexpensive price. An Itaigao of this sort of size and maturity, in a basic unrefined state, you're talking easily £500. And with that kind of money invested, would I be prepared to be as bold as I'm prepared to be with this? The answer is no. So these are great to practice on, sort of cut my teeth, learn my skills, and who knows, this could be quite nice in the future. As always, thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.